We are live on Discord. Welcome to Friday Night Rights, everybody. We still have to do some sort of fancy schmancy video package, with videos and stuff. We'll figure that part out sometime down the road. In the meantime, you know me, Brian Scala, author of Sports, Spice, and Second Chances, Samantha Moran, and our special guest tonight is Miss Jennifer Saviano.
Which I'm super excited about because I might like Jennifer's books just a little bit. Because I have physical copies of all three and audiobook copies of all three, so.
Yes. Yeah. And Evie Black will not be with us tonight. She has taken care of some personal things, and we wish her well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So, Brian, do you want to do your spiel?
Yes, I can do that. Brian Scala, author of Sports, Spice, and Second Chances. Award-winning author at that, because Eddie the Legend is the 2025 Reader Ready award winner for the recommended read by Author Shout. And this is Baseball, Broken Dreams, Found Family, and A Love to Fix It All. It's a little bit spicy, but mostly sports fiction with a dash of romance. And this one is not as spicy. Well, not spicy, really. It's Rise and Fall of Rock Star, basketball player, fictional memoir. And I got a nice review of this one today. And it's also an audiobook by Ms. Paige Reisenfeld. So, being made as my first book. And some of you, actually, let me pull up my screen over here so I can focus on me for a minute. And you know this one, Core Memories. It's the super spicy one. Friends with Benefits entree, side of trauma, and a sweet glass of love to wash it all down. Bryce and Erin meet, for the first time in years. He likes what he sees from her on social media, and they get together and do things. And I do have character art that I can show off. And if you're at the show, and you can buy one of these, and oh wait, I gotta probably censor it for YouTube, but you can pretty much figure out what his head is doing down there.
You're fine. YouTube has far worse than what you're holding.
Oh, okay. So he's doing that. Okay. So that is on my website. You can buy them at $5 a pop, or if you see me at the shows, you can get those for nothing if you buy the book. And I think that's my spiel. So over to Samantha.
Well, Evie's not here, so I'm just going to tell you hers really quickly. She has Unbalanced, which is if Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing meets Supernatural and had an angsty, slow burn baby. Abyssal is Thick Thighs, who ends lives, and Xandros as her simp, who thinks her violence is foreplay. And then, I'm sorry, that was Leona. And then Abyssal, Donovan is a dick. It's literally on the back of the book. That's the whole tagline: Shadow Daddy, abusive relationships, and a world-ending crisis. So that's Evie. Hopefully she'll be back next week. She got some stuff going on. And then me, I'm Samantha Moran. I'm supposed to say I'm an award-winning author as well, or else it doesn't count. So that's me. Feelings in the Dark is Witches, Demons, Hellhounds, A Deal Gone Wrong, in 48 Hours to Save Your Soul. And the sequel, Bound and Betrayed, is Schizophrenia versus Demonic Possession. Both available on audio. This is The Ruin. This is urban fantasy, medical thriller, and found family and childhood best friends to lovers. This is Wicked Little Rabbit. Check your trigger warning. Spooky, spicy Alice in Wonderland. Your health is more important than my sales. And then this is my upcoming release, the fancy signing exclusive edition, Apothecary of Curiosities, which is cozy horror and dark whimsy, where the Grim Reaper is getting into trouble because no one can tell her no. That's my whole spiel. And tonight, oh yeah, Brian's got the other one. I don't have the book with me, but it's Love, Loss, and Life After Someone's Gone. All my stuff's packed up because I have a signing tomorrow. But yeah, it's a whole thing. And then tonight, our guest author is Jennifer Saviano. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Jen Saviano. I am the author of the Saviors MC motorcycle series. However, my first book is actually a book on beginner witchcraft. Before I started writing, I taught beginner witchcraft classes at metaphysical shops where I live. And it's basically just my weekend class for my students that they asked me to publish. Despite it only having less than 200 reviews on Amazon, it's still my best seller. I've probably sold close to 9,000 copies of this thing. You'd never know. My other book is Joyride. It is a finalist in the Chanticleer International Book Awards. Winners will be picked in April, so oh my god, that would be cool. And it is a revenge story. Best friends avenging one of their friends. It's really short. Check your triggers though, because it deals with a lot of dark stuff. And probably one I'm most known for, if you don't count my witch book, is Savior, which is a pretty unique take on Motorcycle Club. All of my readers say it is unlike most in the genre. It's definitely a little more in depth and quite a bit longer. And yeah, that's my shit.
And those are available on Audible, and if you haven't listened to them, they're phenomenal. It's a great way to experience Jennifer's works, especially because they are longer. Because they are, I mean, this is a whole doorstop of the book. They're huge.
Yeah, book 1, 35 hours, and book 2 is 25 hours.
Yeah, and I just want to show you the text in this book is itty bitty. So if you think this is a small book, that it is not. Okay, that is why it's 5 hours. But Paige and PJ really brought her main characters, Dean and Vana, to life very well. So that's a great place to hear Jen's stories too. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're going to be giving away tonight?
I guess we're gonna do a signed copy of Joyride, the novella, and an audiobook code for Joyride. It needs to get to 50 reviews. I'm stuck at like 42 for a long time.
And you said that you have to use those quickly, right? The code that you're going to give away?
You have to use them before February 2nd because I will be released from my exclusive deal with Amazon, and they will kill the codes. So if you get your code tonight, use it tonight.
How nice of them. Amazon always doing such wonderful things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not like you paid for them or anything, but whatever. Anyway, so our giveaway code tonight is going to be a motorcycle in the chat down here. So if you want to go ahead and enter for the very first time tonight, drop a motorcycle emoji and I will get your name recorded in that spinny wheel of awesome things. We're really excited to be able to do this. I know personally absolutely adore Jennifer and her book. She's a wonderful human being and a very talented author. So you don't want to miss out on this.
Yes.
And then Brian's going to get us started on some questions while I start recording all the names.
Yes. And just before I begin the questions, I just want to point out that Sam now has 2 people with New York accents speaking with her tonight.
Yeah, just 2 tonight. Just wait, though, because I have met so many people through this gig with New York accents, and now I'm the odd one out.
So, well, what we'd like to do is just get started with, some questions about you. So tell us a little bit about you. Who is Jennifer Saviano?
A mess, really.
Join the club.
I don't know. I started writing. I've always written. It's always been kind of an escape for me. It helps me deal with anxiety and depression. I work a lot of my inner demons out in my writing. So the things my characters go through are kind of metaphors for the stuff that I've been through. Some are more close to reality than others. But yeah, it's very therapeutic. And yeah. What else? I used to be a 911 operator. That was a bad idea. Didn't do anything good for my anxiety. Worked in a library, probably my favorite job ever. And then I moved to North Carolina, where I started teaching witchcraft in metaphysical shops. And then the COVID thing hit, and I decided to seriously start writing a book, and that was Savior.
Very cool.
I'm really bad at talking about myself, sorry.
No, you're good.
We all are. And then we have to do it all the time because that's the whole goal, is like to get people to know us and our books exist because we're just screaming into the void. But most authors are like, I perceive my pages, don't perceive my existence. So I feel like it's a whole thing.
You know how hard it is.
It's hard to talk about real life because I'm always thinking about books, like what I'm writing. So it's like, what did you do today? I thought about what I was going to write later. But in actuality, today I was laying carpets in my parents' house and cooking. Like, I'm always doing something, but it never, like, I don't know, occurs to me as something to say, what did you do today? And then ramble that shit off like I just did.
Right, but then if you do talk to people about thinking about books, they listen to you for about 2 minutes if you're lucky, and then
Oh
they
yeah.
start with their
Yeah,
attention.
nobody gets it.
No.
No, my whole family thinks I'm insane, so
Welcome to the
Yeah,
club. No,
I've found
you're
that's
insane.
a common theme, with authors. It's the family. It's like the author is kind of the outlier of the family, and they don't really get it. It's like, oh, you're a big time author now, ha ha ha. That at least
and
that's
then
what I
they
get.
ask you and then their eyes just like glaze over and that feels great. So,
Yeah, I and it's funny because the ones that you think are going to be the most supportive of you on the journey tend to be the ones who are least supportive, and then the ones that are super
oh yeah.
supportive come out of nowhere, and you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a whole thing. So then you weren't always an author, obviously, because you had a lot of things kind of going on. You had your metaphysical teachings, you had the 911 operator thing. Like, when did you know for sure? Like, what did you want to be when you grow up?
Oh God. Everything. I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be U.S. Marshal. I had like a long list of just crazy shit. But I've always liked to write, and I just didn't think that would ever be a possibility until KDP happened, and I gave it a shot. And I didn't know book talk was a thing when I wrote Savior, but damn, book talk changed my life.
So many
Oh yeah.
lives, too.
I didn't think, yeah, I didn't think anybody would read my book. I didn't think I would be at book signings. I didn't think people would be getting tattoos of my MC logo on their bodies
Yeah, a little bit
or
That's
jealous.
something.
lines, Ace's baby on their arms. Like, Jesus.
I might just expire if
Mind
somebody ever
blowing in a
ever.
very good way. It's very, I don't know. I feel things, but I have a hard time articulating how it makes me feel. But I am very touched, and I will remember those people forever.
Right. No, I think I would pass out if someone
Yeah.
got you based on my books. Like, do you have like a legit fan base? Like lots and lots and lots of
I,
people. And you have so many reviews on Amazon. I know that was one thing that we had talked about before was that I was like, "Oh my gosh, how did you get so many of these reviews?" And you're like, "My readers are amazing. I don't know, they just
they
do it."
really are.
And then you have the audiobooks, and the audiobooks are fantastic, and I think that helps. And then, the whole thing is none of us are doing this alone. It's all about how we come together. So like the fact that you have touched so many people like that in something that you didn't know you always wanted to do, that's really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought it would happen, but it's happening. And it's
Yeah.
nuts and it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I mean, yeah, that's we come from all different walks of life. It's just we something it's I work in the insurance field, and my friend used to tell me you don't go to school for insurance. It's just something that you fall into when everything else doesn't work, and to a certain extent that's the same way with writing. It's like sometimes we think we're going to do something else with our lives, and then we just find this passion for writing. We just kind of fall into it, and it becomes our lives, and such it's so rewarding, like you said, to meet everybody in the book talk community.
Yeah, it's been life-changing. And to find like real, just like soulmates in ways. Like Jenny Allen. I
Oh
fucking
yeah.
love my girl Jenny.
Oh yeah.
That's my boo.
She adores you. She couldn't wait for this interview tonight.
Oh yeah, and when we
Aw.
were talking with Jen last time, she was like, "And Jennifer Saviano's gonna be on here soon." It was so adorable. Like you guys are definitely soulmates. Oh my gosh.
I love her. She's my bestie. Her books are phenomenal. So if you guys haven't picked those up, definitely start with I mean, you don't have to start with the Lilith Adams series, but that's the main series. But
Hmm.
the novella she's writing right now, that follow Luminita's life and Aaron, fucking fantastic. The research she put into these books, like you feel like you're there.
Mm.
Hmm.
Amazing, amazing work. She's spectacular. She's spectacular.
I'm currently reading Blood Lily as one of my five like rotating books right now. I think I'm about
Hmm.
6 or 7% into the book, and it's scientific for sure. Like there's a lot of obvious care that went into it. It's really good. But there's a lot
Yeah.
of that in your books too, and we'll talk
Hmm.
about yours tonight as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you mentioned
I
you
know.
know you were a 911 operator. You did a whole bunch of you wanted to be a cop. You wanted to be do all these other things. When did you start realizing you wanted to write and become an author? Like how did that happen?
I've always written, but it wasn't until the pandemic when we were all locked down and I needed to find something to just occupy my mind because it was giving me like such crazy anxiety. And my husband delivers fuel, so he was considered like an essential worker,
Hmm.
and just, it was just nerve-wracking. I don't know. So I had to find something to focus on, and it was Savior. And Savior was something I was playing with for like a few years even before that. But that was when I finally sat down, was just like, okay, we can do this. KDP is a thing where they let, anybody publish a book, and it's like an actual freaking book. Because I mean, getting into like the real publishing houses and shit is so fucking difficult.
Oh yeah.
It
I
But
is, and it's
honestly, I have
really
way
defeating.
more fun reading indie books than trad. I
yeah,
really do. Go indies.
I do too. Well,
100%.
trad goes with what's safe, and we've talked about that a lot. They go with what they guarantee they can make money off of. Whereas indie books are able to push boundaries and do new things and
Yeah.
explore things you couldn't find on your standard shelf, and there's
Hmm.
so much beauty in that, just the exploration and creativity alone.
Yep.
So you only kind of figured out you wanted to be an author a little bit later in life after all of the other aspirations had kind of come and gone a little bit. But aside from writing, do you have any hobbies? Anything that you enjoy doing outside of book world?
Um, I used to sculpt. Well, I guess I shouldn't say used to. I haven't had time to because I'm working on all these books, but I make like witchy art. I build these little witch bottles that I it's basically all from recycled materials. I should have brought one over. Fuck it. But yeah, like arts and crafts and stuff like that. What else? That's really it. I need to be making something all the time, but I like doing that stuff because I can make it and then sell it or like give it away. I never keep my art,
Yeah,
so
Hmm. That's
I used to
your
do.
fun. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Now, do any of your characters share the same kind of hobbies that you do?
I made Vana a witch, but I think she's probably the only one I have like as far as activities go with most in common with is Vana.
As I say, Legion is somewhere in the metaphysical spectrum of things as well. Kind of
Yeah,
a counter
Legion.
foil, Lana. He's a
Yeah,
whole
he's
thing.
not very nice. He's bad. I mean, he's trying.
For someone.
I had different plans with Legion when I first wrote Legion. I didn't expect readers to fall in love with him in book one. He was originally going to be an irredeemable bad guy and was never going to get his own book. But so many people fell in love with him, I had to
Mm.
flip the script and try to redeem him.
Okay,
It's
but I love Legion as a bad guy. I'm just putting that out there. There is something about the dark and twisted characters that just makes my black little heart happy. And he is such a good foil to Vanna, who has all the best of intentions, but all of the poorest outcomes to things. Whereas he is just like, I am going to do things and I don't care what anyone else thinks about them.
No, he really doesn't. Yeah,
Except for
he's
one person.
yeah.
And if you don't know who
I
that
don't
one
know how people are going
is,
to take him.
you need to read these because they are well worth it. I
Yeah.
promise. Actually, Jennifer Saviano's MC romance slash witchy MC romance here are the first ones I've ever picked up. I've never read any other MC romance books. So I think you might have ruined them, I'm going to be honest. A little bit nervous about picking up a different MC romance.
They're very different. I can recommend Christy Ashley, I think is her name. She writes a more substantial MC romance, but most of them, and this is not knocking the genre. I like MC romance, but they're not very deep. I'm just going to fucking say it. They're not as deep. It's very fast paced and very surface. There's not a whole lot.
So a lot of books are smut with plot, and yours is plot with smut. And I think that's really important, is that the Savior series definitely has some naughty, fun, nasty bits to
Oh
it.
yeah.
However, it really has a lot of depth. You have characters that have a lot of development. You have characters that have real world problems. There's lots of intricacies, and like there's a web of how they all interact and stuff. So these books are very much about world building, and we'll talk some more about the Savior's world building in just a few minutes. But they are very unique, and I'm a little bit nervous to pick up a different MC romance.
Try Christy. It's either Christy or Kristen Ashley. I've been compared to her before. But her books have a lot more story and development. So if you want another MC romance, give that one a shot. Are you still sick?
Oh,
Sorry,
so
my husband doesn't feel good.
Oh, it's going around now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, aside from all your outside projects, a lot of us have causes or charities that are near and dear to them. I usually find some to donate my Amazon royalties to every month. All $5 or $10 worth, but sometimes a little more. Do you have any special causes or any type of charity that is near and dear to you?
I try to organize fundraisers at the book signings I go to. I work with Bikers Against Trafficking, and they do a lot of work for human trafficking victims, like therapy, getting people out of those situations, putting them in safe houses. Like they do a lot. They just opened a new charter in Florida, and they are in Virginia. But I try to raise money for them when I do appearances, and yeah, so that's close to my heart. I would like to do something with Baka, but they're pretty huge, so I'm trying to find smaller ones that they, need more of a platform. So if you guys know anybody else, I'm happy to reach out to them too.
Yeah, I
but
know
right now it's BAT, Bikers Against Trafficking.
And you're actually relatively well known for your work with Bikers Against Trafficking, which is really impressive. I know at all the events people talk about it when they come around to my tables and all the cool things that you do. It's very fun. So if you ever get a chance to talk with Jennifer Saviano about her fundraising efforts, you should totally do so. It's a great organization. And then I know you've also brought some awareness to some of the dangers that bikers face on social media platforms from time to time. And that's important too. Like, for example, don't just look once, look twice, and then check again when you're changing lanes. Bikes are small and you are big. We've talked about that on like TikTok, for example, in some of the videos too. So it's very, very important. Yeah. Now, obviously, we know that you're working for the Bikers Against Trafficking with your fundraisers and things, and you're bringing some attention to those things. But outside of like the things that you're passionate about charity wise, what are some of your favorite things? This could be like seasons or foods or TV or music or whatever makes Jennifer Saviano happy.
Probably music is my most favorite, and I like everything. But I have to be careful. Like if I'm writing and I put on music, it has to be the same song on a loop, or I'll get distracted and we'll just be bouncing around the house singing and dancing for the next 4 hours. Yeah. I love music. Probably rock and roll and doo-wop is my favorite. I incorporate a lot of my favorite songs into my books, so a lot of them are like specifically mentioned in the stories. But yeah, it's got to be music. I love music. My husband likes going to the movies. That's hit and miss because I usually let him pick, and he's a guy.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're just like, oh,
I'm
thank
surprised
God that's over.
I'm surprised you mentioned doo-wop. My father-in-law is a huge doo-wop fan, and he's an ex-cop too. So he's always listening to like the old like Johnny Maestro and the Brooklyn Bridge. I think is one of his favorites.
Yup, I love all that music. Yeah, music real big for me, and I also really like classical. Like Vivaldi is probably one of my favorites. Yeah, music.
It's funny because in the Savior series, like you said, you mentioned a bunch of songs that kind of create a track list for what's going on in here. And I can see the classical being more of a Legion thing, and then I can see like the rock side being more of like the bar and Savior, And so you can see it kind of
Yeah.
in the characters as well, which is really cool.
Legion's very difficult to write because I feel like he's smarter than me. Yeah. And he knows it. He's always in my head, like, tormenting me about that.
He is
It's
a little
difficult to write a character who's smarter than you.
He's a little bit snobby. He is a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I could see Legion
Yeah.
being the guy who goes to the bar and orders a wine and tastes it and is like, this is not the right year.
Yeah, he's a little snooty.
I couldn't tell
He's
the difference.
He's been fun. He's just been difficult.
I couldn't tell the difference either, Brian. Quite honestly, I grew up on Arbor Mist, so that's I know.
Yeah, to me, red wine is red wine and white wine is white wine, and beer is well. Actually, no, but I can tell the difference with beer. But
I'm a lightweight when it comes to drinking, so I don't really drink that much.
yeah, same here.
Ball taste.
I'll have the occasional Coors Light, which my wife says is like just watered down beer, or or something like watered down piss water or something like that. But it's
Yeah, I'm not really a beer fan either.
I'm not either. I do hard cider now and then. That's about my extent of what comes out of a glass bottle like that. So.
Yeah, I could do that. That sounds good.
I did one of those gummy bear shots at Sinful though. I think Sarah Furlong Burr had those.
Those were good.
I would do that. Now give me an edible and I'll do that shit. That's fine.
Yeah. No, I think it was Rexy passing out the gummy bears, and then
okay.
Sarah had to. Those were strong because
yeah.
I think that was after I had that. That was when I climbed Kennedy like a tree. That was the whole thing. Yeah, those are good. Rummy bears.
You were Miss Popular.
Okay, whoops.
So I mean, obviously we're all readers, and Jennifer, what was your last 5-star read?
Jenny Allen. Yeah, I really don't have a whole lot of time to read because I am trying to work on my books. But even if Jenny and I weren't good friends, it's Jenny Allen's books. She's just an excellent writer.
Nice.
Love her book.
So many people I have yet to I mean, it's like I know all these people, but I haven't read their books yet, and it's just the list keeps growing and growing.
Oh yeah, my indie author shelf used to just be one. Now I've got 3.
Yeah.
My signed book collection is growing because I either buy or trade to get books from people that I admire at shows. I know I walked up to Jen at Sinful Signings round 1, and I was like, "Do you want a book? Can we trade books?" I was so nervous too because you had like your whole setup going, and I was like, "Hi, I'm nobody. Do you want to read something I wrote?"
I'm nobody too. I just got a big blanket. That's right there.
The
thing is, we all think.
I mean, who am I? Fuck.
It's so cool. All right, so we're going to pause just very quickly and remind you that we are now rehoming or giving away, was it a signed copy of Joyride, right? And an audiobook code for Joyride that has to be redeemed before February 2nd. Otherwise, Amazon's going to be a little meanie and you won't be able to use it. Okay, so go ahead and drop motorcycle emoji in the comments. If you've already done it, that's fine. You get rewarded for still being here. And remember, I have dropped Jennifer's website link here in the chat, and I also dropped the Amazon link so you can go follow her on Amazon and be alerted when new releases come out. That's very helpful as well. So make sure you go do that. And I'm going to go ahead and enter these things onto the wheel. More and more motorcycles, more and more. Okay?
Yes.
And in the meantime, so we've talked a little bit about the books that you've currently written, but you write sort of across genres. I know you said you had a nonfiction one about the path to witchcraft, which is actually your bestseller. And then we talked a lot about how Saviors is an MC romance, but it's not just MC romance, right? There's more to it. It crosses a lot of lines. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about the genres that you kind of envision those books falling into?
I don't even know. Like, it's a thriller. It's definitely romance. I always say if you like Sons of Anarchy, although my guys are not gun runners, they're kind of reformed 1%ers. they do have dark pasts that they're kind of just trying to do the right thing now. They're called the Saviors because they rescue women and children from domestic violence situations. That's their mission now. But like Dean used to be like a knee breaker for, bad people. Viking used to be a gun runner. But anyway, getting sidetracked because that's what I do. If you liked Sons of Anarchy, if you liked like Sleeping with the Enemy, or what is it, Safe Haven, which was by Nicholas Sparks, and what's the other one I always say? Oh, Practical Magic. And if you mix all those up, you would have something close to Savior. So that's the best way I can explain it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely MC Romance plus.
Well, and it definitely falls into more of a darker romance side, but it's not a hardcore dark romance either, because your MCs don't mean harm to themselves, and really don't mean harm to other people unless other people fuck up. Like they only go after the wrong guys, So it's not really dark, but it's also not light, right? And then you bring in these characters like Legion and the band of merry do-batters that we get in here. So it doesn't fall into like a rom-com or a typical literary fiction either. And I think this is an important conversation because we've talked about genres a lot on Friday Night Writes, and those are just make-believe boxes that we cram things into. Everybody likes to have something all neat and organized. However, a book that crosses boundaries on genres is typically a lot harder to find an audience for. So I am very impressed with how well you have like amassed a group of people for these books. Yeah. It's very impressive.
I don't know how it happened. I guess just consistently posting.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first started, I was probably doing like 7 videos a day on the Clock app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and
my Witch book, I just advertised on Instagram. So my Nezzy Savvy Moonwitch account, I had like 37,000 followers on there. But as they cleaned out bots or whatever, it chewed it down to like 22,000. But I don't advertise Savior that much on that page because those people are specifically just looking for, witchcraft education.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't try to mix that up. I don't want to piss anybody off. But yeah, it's crazy. I didn't expect it to take off the way it did. But
the audio
write your books and publish them.
Really enticing.
What's that?
The audio clips that you use are really enticing too. And you have such nice aesthetically pleasing videos. You have all the pictures of the reader reviews, and there are so many good reader reviews. There's really if you read that, that's a big pull. And I'm very impressed with your ability to market that as well. It's really cool.
Yeah. Man, I'm just winging it.
We all, oh yeah.
It's darts in the dark. That's all it is. And sometimes they hit. I mean, I haven't hit a big one in a while or ever. But
so
right book, right time, right market, right people who are looking at the things. A lot of it is luck. A lot of it is hard work. A lot of it's who you know, and it all just kind of adds up sometimes. But that doesn't make it any less hard work. So it's still very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where did you get the? What made you want to write a motorcycle romance? As opposed to any other genre. What was it that called to you?
Like I said, when I talk about Savior being different from MC romance, I'm not saying it to knock the genre. I read a lot of MC romance. It's fun. But every time I read a book, I was like, man, this book would have been awesome if they just would have focused on this scene just a little bit longer. So I wrote what I wanted to read.
Mm-hmm. I find like a lot of
Is
people...
that the question? Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just I was wondering what drew you to wanting to write the MC romance.
Oh, that okay. And also, I grew up around motorcycle clubs, and a lot of the books I was reading were about 1%ers. They are running girls, they are running guns and stuff like that. That's not the groups that I grew up with. My guys were good guys.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, they were 1%ers, but I never saw them doing any of that bad stuff. I saw the charity runs, the family barbecues, how nothing bad ever went down in these neighborhoods because those bikers were always around. We lived in the safest fucking neighborhood.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. bikers are the
Because we
first
had a
ones.
certain group right around the corner.
Oh, for
What?
sure. And bikers are the first ones to stand up. Like, they are the first ones
Yeah.
I've noticed. I had an uncle who rode motorcycles. He died on a motorcycle. He rode until he was done.
Wow.
And you don't mess with the family.
No.
It really family. It's not they call it a club, but it's not. It's a family. It's a whole like unit. And if you are protected by that unit, you are way safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and even if you aren't, like, I've never met even a biker I didn't know that wasn't observant of like what was going on, even like watching other people's kids. You know what I mean? Like just keeping an eye on shit. Like they're very diligent when it comes to community. I don't know. I have a lot of respect for them, and I have a personal experience where something, and I can't get the words out of my body. I'm physically incapable of saying it, but I was pulled out of a situation by a person who happened to be a biker, and that really stuck with me. So Savior book 1 I actually dedicated to the biker who saved my life when I was a kid, and never got his name, never saw him again.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a favorite and least favorite character in your books?
Dean is probably my favorite. And my least favorite is probably Lucinda. But then maybe also Preacher, because something happens to Preacher because I just didn't want to write him anymore. I was just like, you know what, Legion, figure this out. And he made it work, so.
Okay, but for a man named
Lucinda's the devil.
Oh, yeah. And for a man named Preacher, so is he. Like, let's be real. He's not.
Yeah.
He does not live up to his namesake.
No, we don't like him.
Yeah.
But I would say probably Lucinda's probably my most hated character.
She manipulates.
Rightfully so.
So Lucinda's the kind of the character that gets what she wants, and she doesn't care how she's going to get it. And she's going to pull all those strings, even if it comes back to bite her in the ass later. And she's everyone knows a Lucinda is the thing, and that's why it makes it so easy to hate her, because there is a Lucinda in your life somewhere. So.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Lucinda's a mixture of two people in my life. They're not in my life anymore, thank God. But yeah, definitely based on two people I morphed together and made Lucinda.
Oof. You must really, really not like them.
Yeah, no. All I did was tell the truth. I mean, what she was doing to Dean in the books is what happened, what I had to witness and had to not go to jail.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yep.
And you want to know what Lucinda was doing to Dean in the books, so you really, really need to read.
You're gonna have to read it. Yeah.
So now, obviously, you have the MC series. Do you like writing series, or do you anticipate writing any standalones in the future?
I really like series because I like to hang out with the characters for a long time and see where everything goes. So I don't see myself. I mean, it is a possibility, but I'm definitely a series girl.
I was gonna say,
I know when I write the final book, I'm probably gonna be real sad to say goodbye to them.
Me too. But with as thick as these books are, I don't think there's any way this was not going to be a series. I mean, you would have written like a tome, like a whole grimoire of Savior.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for you. It's not on our list, but I need to know the answer. Did you write these as one book and then split it?
No, I wrote Savior book 1 and then decided like halfway through that, like, there's so much going on. Like, I could really take these threads and pull them into, other books. So in the middle of Savior, I was just like, we got to do something with Legion. So yeah, series. It's going to be a series now. And then as more people started reading it, they're like, oh, we need Vikings book. We need Cherry and Axel. So I'm like, okay.
Oh, Cherry.
I could finagle some stuff.
Poor Cherry, man. Poor Cherry.
Yeah. which is another reason why I wanted to get involved with Bikers Against Trafficking. So if I'm going to write about it, I want to do something to help too.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, just making sure I'm getting names on the wheel. Yeah, Cherry's story is beautiful and broken, just like so many of the other characters in the Savior's world. And honestly, like that just makes them so relatable. I absolutely adore that. All right,
Yes.
this is the next opportunity for you guys to enter the giveaway for a signed copy of Joyride, this novella. This is the newest release, right, Jennifer?
Yeah.
And it's in the Savior's world, but it's about different characters.
And if you've read Savior, you'll spot some cameos in Joyride.
Yes, absolutely. And it's also on audiobook, I believe, narrated by Allie Dane and Paige Reisenfeld. And that is what we have a signed copy to give away today and an audiobook code that has to be redeemed before February 2nd. So make sure when you get that quickly, drop those motorcycles there in the comments, okay? You get rewarded for sticking around. So it's okay if you've already done it. Do it again. I'll be bossy. Do it again.
Do it. Do it.
Do it. Peer pressure.
You know you want to.
Now, being an author is not just one thing, right? We're wearing so many hats all the time. So I have to ask you, how do you handle this author life balance where you're doing all the things like the marketing and the writing and the working with narrators, great audiobooks, and then all of the planning, and then if you do cover design or graphics, like how do you handle that in conjunction with the real life?
You just gotta fit it in the moments where there's not other things going on. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I do all the posts on social media. So I've got like a couple of hours where I don't have to worry about posting on social media. I can go do life stuff. And then I try to look at and see like which days of the week are the best times to post on, the different social medias. I can't remember them, so I got to look it up every goddamn day. And then just follow that and just try your freaking best. But as far as like covers and all that other shit, just do your research with who you work for, because I've been fucked over multiple times by different people. And if anybody ever asks you for payment up front and it's like friends and family, don't fucking do that shit. I don't care how nice they are, how many references they give you, don't do it.
Yeah, I think it's really important too to make sure that you're working with someone that has established skills that they can demonstrate to you. So if they have like a portfolio, for example, of covers that they've created,
It's run over by people with portfolios too. So just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah, at least never in full. Sometimes artists will require a deposit to hold the spot. That's a little bit different. But if they're asking for you like for like $500-600, you're not giving them all that right now. There ain't no that's a terrible plan.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
With editors too, I think it's really important to vet them, because a lot of people will say that they can edit and then they have no idea how to do basic grammar things, or if they're just starting to figure it out, they want to take on a smaller book instead of a 600-page book for their first round. So it's one thing to work with people who are new to an area and another thing to go in blind. So doing that research is really, really important. And anybody worth their salt should offer you a contract. That's important too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've talked about all the pitfalls that we face as writers. What do you enjoy the most about it, and conversely, what do you like the least?
About writing or the author, or just like the life of an author? What do you mean?
Yeah, both.
Writing is escapism. It's just a minute to like get away from life's BS. And the favorite part about being just is connecting with people who relate so strongly to the stories, and who write me notes about how they saw themselves in Vana, a lot of Vana. Also, Vana is probably my most misunderstood character and gets a lot of like what I think is just undeserved hate. But yeah, it's connecting with the readers. I've gotten so many messages just thanking me for writing the story because they found healing in it, and that's just fucking amazing, and that is the best part. And the worst part is fucking marketing.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
think that is the most popular, least favorite one. I think.
yeah, marketing, hands down.
Well, because you think you've got something that works and then it changes, or the platform decides it doesn't want to show it to
Yeah,
people, whatever, and you're like, ah, why?
Yeah,
yeah,
I ever since I told people about the Discord, my TikTok views have gone. Well,
yeah. I can't figure out the code to the yeah, mentioning anything
yeah,
anywhere.
yeah.
They're all in
Yeah,
competition with each other. It's so aggravating.
it is. But the thing is, if they would just collaborate, just like we collaborate in the author community, they would end up with better profit and better viewership and all of these other things. But they just want to
Yeah.
not do that. They want to do it themselves. So it's all
Yep.
frustrating across the board. And there are so many of us, right, that are out here throwing spaghetti at the wall, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Like, is it done yet? I don't know. We have a book. You might like it. Go read it. Maybe, if I can beg, borrow, and steal to get you there. We're all like, hey,
Yeah.
please pay attention. And so
Yep.
there's so many voices, and it's exhausting.
Yep. It sure is.
Now, when you are
I was gonna
writing,
say, and the double. Sorry.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and the double standard of certain things I'm starting to see more is really starting to aggravate me because a lot of us try really, really hard to stay away from like the whole AI thing, and then you see shit going viral, and the videos are all AI.
Oh, yeah.
But if
Oh,
I were to do that, I would be fucking canceled.
Yep.
yeah.
That's very disheartening.
AI
Anyway, you were saying.
topic. AI,
Oh,
because
100%.
AI is not going anywhere. And this is something that I think we do need to consider too, that AI is going to become more advanced. It's going to become more prevalent, especially now that there's so much funding going into it, even from our federal government. That's a fun conversation there to have. But like, it's getting harder and harder to tell what's AI and what's not. And as artists, like, you can't guarantee your artists aren't using AI for some step of the process, even if you pay, even if you see, sketches along the way. There's no way to vet all that unless you're sitting next to them. And then the authors
Yeah.
take the hit for that. And it can be very tricky. It can be very frustrating because we're all trying to do our best. And I think
Yeah.
that's just something that we keep in mind. The people who are really trying to be honest about it are trying very hard. And it is very frustrating when people who obviously take advantage of it are getting,
Yeah.
touted, ones who accidentally use it or who paid somebody and wind up
It's
with
not
something.
even accidental though. Some of these things, it's so blatantly.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. The ones
Yeah.
who are on purpose, they get like lifted up, and then the ones who accidentally stumble into it get crucified, and it's very difficult. So now you said writing for you was
The
escape.
Warriors are coming. They're gonna kill us. Like we're just dooming ourselves. Like they're
Right.
coming.
I know. But you said for you writing is escapism. So my question for you is, do you plan your writing out, or do you like go by the seat of your pants? Or are you somewhere in the middle, or?
I probably do most of my writing at night after everybody in the family goes to sleep because that's when I'm like left alone. But then like throughout the day, I'll be texting myself. If there's mail around, I'll write. It's wherever I can fit it in because life is just chaotic. I've accidentally texted my mom like the weirdest shit, and it's so embarrassing. Oh my god! One time, like 3 o'clock in the morning, it was like a pregnancy thing, and I'm like, "Fuck! I just said that to my mother."
I've done that plenty of times where I'll wake up in the middle of the night and like to go to the bathroom and then maybe give the cats some treats and then try to go back to bed and like I think of something and I have to type it in my phone so I don't forget it.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes it's genius, and sometimes it's like a 3 a.m. fever dream, and you're like, "What the hell did I write down?" Yeah. No, I text things to my husband, and I'm like, "Please disregard this message. It's not really for you." And then and he's like, "Oh, that sounds fascinating." Now, do you have plans for your plot though? Like, do you know what your characters are going to do and what your big problems are in advance, or is that something you just kind of work out? Go.
I try to. Legion has been. Oh, Legion. Yeah, I go in with lots of points, major points that I want them all to hit. Like each character has their own stuff going on, their own problems and stuff they have to deal with, and then there's like community problems that's like they all have to deal with this. Um, so all of that is planned out, but at this point, they're so alive. There are things that I can't make them do anymore. So it has to change to get them there in a different way because there's
Oh.
just they're alive now and they have opinions and thought and they're just not going to do it. And that's one of the things that people think we're fucking insane about because it's true. They become thought form entities.
They do.
And there's no controlling them to a certain point.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Arguing with your own brain is a fascinating problem.
Yeah. But it's wild too, because I don't remember specifically what it was, but I remember writing something and then remembering something occurred in a previous book and how it tied into this, but in a way I didn't even plan for, but it works like so fucking perfectly. I'm like, how did that happen? I'm channeling something. It's so weird.
It's funny
brains
because
are fascinating.
Yesterday, my oldest daughter had to get stitches. She got into a fight with a desk at school. She was sitting on a wobble chair and pulled it down on top of herself and chunked her forehead. It was very gruesome.
Oh, God.
We had to go to the urgent care, and she ended up 4 stitches, and she's not even 8 years old yet. And I'm sitting there watching her get stitches. And obviously, as a mother, I'm like, oh, this is unfortunate. My child is hurt. I don't like this, right? But then there's part of me that's like watching it in fascination, you know, like seeing how the medical process of it actually plays out. And we get done getting stitches done, and Emma goes, because you're a lot like Iroth, Mommy. Things like that don't bother you. And I thought, oh no, my demon is alive and well in my brain. And they do funny. That. Do your characters ever just sort of pop up in the real world and you're like, oh, wait.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Something will happen and one of them will have like a comment or a joke about it in their voice in my head making a comment. It's crazy. Maybe we are nuts. I don't know.
Yeah, I swear sometimes I hear my characters talking to me like they're real people. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So now, when you're writing, do you like, you know, do you have any routines? Like I know you mentioned you have to listen to the same song on repeat sometimes. Like, you know, do you have to have like certain lighting or beverage or snacks or whatever? Like, what's the procedure there?
I don't have any snacks by my computer because I don't like getting stuff like on my. Yeah, I'm very like, gotta be clean over here. I'm always drinking water, and I like to keep one lamp on behind me, and that's like really it. I found a desk somebody threw away, and I brought it home and cleaned it, and that's like where I write. Is at this desk somebody threw away. It smells like cigarettes, which Legion's a chain smoker, so that works.
Oh, okay. There's some inspiration there.
I tried to clean it, but like the ghost of that smoke just keeps coming back.
Oh, he's always with you then. He is a chain smoker. You can always tell where Legion's been. Oof.
Yeah, he's a chain smoker.
Now, we touched on this a little bit earlier in the interview about indie versus trad publishing, but obviously you went with the indie publishing route. You said you were kind of inspired with Book Talk during COVID, and then you found out about KDP and all that stuff. You didn't know about Book Talk at first, but kind of became inspired by it. But do you see yourself as always being an indie author, or do you consider trad publishing, or how do you feel about all of that?
I think I'll always be indie. I mean, what can't we do? I mean, a lot of trad publishers don't even, you know, promote for you. Like, it's still on your shoulders. So why? It doesn't help you. I mean, I guess maybe big ones, like if you're a Nicholas Sparks or something. But, I mean, I don't foresee that happening. Hopefully it does, but, you know.
Yeah. Well,
I see myself as always indie.
When you go with a big publisher, too, they take a chunk of the royalties, you know, and if you're doing most of the work and they're paid for all of it, that's always kind of frustrating. But they also ask you to change your stories. So how would you feel about
fuck that? No, absolutely not.
Like we had Kennedy Sutton here last week for our interviews, and she actually had a publishing deal offered to her for the Sneaky Last series, but they wanted to age down her main character, make it a YA series. They wanted her to make her not as tough as nails and make her, oh, woe is me, rescue me. And she was like, that's not my story.
No, write it, then go write that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I would never.
Yeah,
I mean,
even if my series was to become like a like a TV series, like I'm not budget on much.
Right. Yeah, my wife asked.
Can I cut out? What happened?
Oh, I was going to say my wife asked me to take her to Barnes and Noble last weekend, and I'm looking at all the the end caps and all the the trad publishing, and I'm thinking to myself, I wonder what story these people actually wanted to write and had to change in order to get into this store, and was it worth it?
Yeah.
Well, and you think about the timelines too. Traditional publishing houses dictate so much of when you have to publish things too. And that can be really tricky. Sometimes you wait like 5-6 years for them to actually put your book on the shelf. And sometimes they demand things that aren't really possible. Like they would have wanted Legion a year ago, and that's not going to be true to who Legion is. So that's tricky. I mean, mad props to people who do well in the trad pub industry. I have a lot of respect for the people who do, but it's not for everyone, that's for sure.
Yep. Not for me.
So you have a Legion.
Free.
So you have Legion obviously coming out. How many other works in progress do you have currently?
I try to only work on one at a time because I know I'll abandon it and go, like nothing will ever come out. It'll all just be works in progress. So I have notebooks that if another character pops up with something to say about their story that's coming, I'll write it down in there, but they are not allowed to have a major say in anything yet.
Gotcha.
Because if I get pulled away, Joyride's a different story. I had stuff happen in my life that I needed to write Joyride just to get it out. And the only way I could write a fucking novella was for it to take place over the course of one day. Because I'm a thick book writer. The novella was very difficult to write. But yeah, I have notebooks to take notes for the characters coming up with their stories. And that's as much as I'll let them do, because I will get distracted.
Right.
I am struggling with that because my Corinne won't talk to me the way that she's supposed to for Legacy of Lies, and that's why that book doesn't exist. Well, that and a tree fell on this room over the summer. But that was it was not fun. It was a 60-year-old walnut. But anyway, she's being real argumentative. I try to talk to her, and I'm like, hey, what's your story? And she's like, no. And I'm like, yes. Right? And so we're arguing about it. And so I wrote Wicked Little Rabbit instead because somebody dared me to write it. And so I was like, okay, I'm oppositional defiant. I obviously have to write this book now because you told me. Like, you dared me. There's no way not to. But bouncing in and out of a series is very difficult. And I think it can lead to writer's block, too, which is a very big problem. And you mentioned that you've been struggling with Legion, and I'm assuming some of that is probably writer's block with his character not cooperating with you. So how do you handle that? How do you handle writer's block?
I'll listen to music that I haven't listened to before. I'm very influenced by music. I hear, stories in the music and, warp it into my own thing and get ideas. Go for a drive, stuff like that. Writer's block, you just gotta fight through it. But I'm very impacted by, stressful situations. Will make me unable to write. I had a few things happen to me last year that really impacted my ability to write. So it's not so much ideas, it's drive, I guess, that I was having a problem with. But now that certain people have been cut the fuck out of my life, it's getting a little easier to write. So and I've been working on my edits. I sent Savior Book 1 and 2 to a professional editor to have edited for the first time. And I've been going through all those edits, and now that Legion's being like ignored, he's got shit to say, which is fucking typical Legion. So
That does track with
yeah.
him. Yeah. Now, are you like you have to write every day person, or do you respect your brain when it says no, not today?
If it's like a hard no, we're not doing this, then we're not doing it. As soon as I lose the joy of writing, that's going to be a real sad day. And I don't want to ever get myself to that point. So if I need a day, take a day.
It's really important because if you don't take a break, your body will take one for you. That's something I have learned.
Yeah, I had to deal with that the last few months as well, and it's not fun, and it just sometimes you need for me personally, I listen to my brain and my body, and the writing will come when it's ready. But,
for sure.
now, is this? Do you insert maybe pieces of yourself and maybe people into these books? Maybe just little bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah, there's probably a little bit of me in every character. Even the bad ones have a bad side.
Oh, we all have a bad side.
But some characters are based on people that I know, like Laura. I used to work with Laura in her witch shop. So Laura is heavily based on a real person. She sadly passed away. Ethan is Nathan. He was the little gay boy, a little resident gay. We loved him. We called him Pan. He looked like Pan. Anyway, Ethan's in the book. Viking was inspired by the biker that pulled me out of that situation.
Right.
His whole personality.
Right.
That was funny. Dean is a mixture of different people, and so is Vana. Lucinda, Laura, Ethan, and Viking are probably the most solid characters based on real people.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we make them relatable.
What?
That's how we make them relatable. Take pieces of real people, put them into a new amalgamation. Now, do you have any specific writing tools that you enjoy as an author? Like any programs that you particularly use or absolutely cannot stand?
I only know how to use Word, and not even everything in Word.
I
just type. And
you would think Word would be easy, right? Because that's what we grew up with. But they changed so much about it, and it has so many features they never teach us how to use.
And they just did another update like 2 days ago, and everything's like, I'm like, where is find and replace? I need that. I don't know where it is now.
Yeah, I started using Word, and then when I started formatting, I moved over to Atticus. But sometimes cutting and pasting from Word gets a little weird. So if I don't write in Atticus now, now it's like I don't know. I'm actually doing it in both, so it's double the work for me. But,
yeah. It's always good to have a backup document no matter which program you use. Just saying. Because I have seen things get corrupted, so something to keep in mind.
What is it? What is it somebody said? Always have a backup plan?
Yeah. I don't know who you're talking about. Which is funny. So that's a quote from The Ruin, but I have stickers on Redbubble, like my little merch shop or whatever there, and one of them says, always have a backup plan with a little fire, like cute little, emoji thing. And somebody bought 10 of them in Australia when the Australian wildfires were happening. So, like, my little Redbubble sticker for The Ruin became a thing for wildfires. It's kind of a little tidbit, fun little piece of information.
That's cool.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned sometimes when you need to take a day if it's if the writing isn't happening, like what would you do for say your mental health to recharge your mind and to rebuild your creativity, like what's
music, or you just go outside, go in the woods. I like the woods. I like the beach at night. I don't like the beach during the day, but I'll go to the beach at night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the beach is often people-y during the day.
Yeah, it's too. Yeah, I'm not real people-y.
They're everywhere.
I do my signings, like my couple of signings for the year, and like that's the most peopling I could do.
Yeah.
Like, I reserve it for those days.
My wife has a
I like
T-shirt.
people in doses.
Yeah, yeah, yes. Small doses. Yeah, like I can do people for like 2 or 3 days, but then I need like 2 or 3 days off. You know.
Mm.
Yeah.
My wife
Or
has a T-shirt that says "My favorite people are cats," and I can
Yeah.
attest to that.
I have 3. I love cats.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I have a sign on my front door that says "Welcome ish." Depends on who you are and how long you're staying.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I'm a dog person. I had a cat. I had her for 13 years. She passed away over the summer, but she was ornery like a teenager. That was just her whole personality. My dog, though, she's like a always happy, lovable toddler. Like you walk in the door and she's like, and my cat would have been like, hey.
I have a Belgian Malinois too. He's just psychotic.
I think I've seen videos of your dog with giant toys.
She's insane.
Did she drag a huge tire around? Like an actual tire?
Oh, that's my parents. That's my parents' Rottweiler. Yeah, she's
wow.
That's Buffy. Buffy, named after the Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And my dad loves that movie. That cheesy 80s or 90s Buffy movie.
Yep.
He loves that movie. I don't know, so he named the dog Buffy. Yeah.
We have a Buffy.
A dog's out.
We have a Buffy.
What?
One of my cats is Buffy, aka Buffett, as in Jimmy Buffett,
Mm.
and the other one is Chesney.
Aw. That's cute.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
Aries. He's my tuxedo boy. Nyx, who's like a desert lynx, which is basically just a tabby but dark with a copper undercoat. And then I have a little gray tabby, Mia, and she's 16 this year. And then Valkyries are Malinois.
Yeah, I have my cat was a calico, and I accidentally named her Callie Iko, like a calico. But I wanted her to have an Irish name that was like still easy for people over here to pronounce, because people over here won't try if they can't figure out what the spelling is. And then I wanted her to have a Japanese name, and I chose Aiko, which means little fire, because she was a Spitfire, punky cat. So, Callie Aiko. And then my dog, her name is Sugar Baby Boo, because I'm neurotic. But she was named Sugar when I got her, and then Baby after a dog we had that passed away, and Boo because she was white as a ghost. She's a yellow lab, like a retriever pit bull mix. She's a lovable mutt. Very pretty, not all that bright, but that's okay. You know, that's okay.
Yeah.
So kind of moving back into the writing process for you, but are there any other authors who have inspired you that you want to give a shout out to?
Susan Kay. I think she's in her 70s now, and I only know of 2 books that she's written, but Phantom by Susan Kay is probably the most influential book as far as writing style that I've ever read, because it's about the Phantom of the Opera, Eric's life, the Phantom, but she takes you from like his birth to his death. And some of the chapters are from his point of view, but some of the chapters are from people who interacted with him. And just the thoroughness of that character build, I freaking loved it. So that just inspired the way I thoroughly like to build my characters. Character building is probably my favorite part of writing. But it would have to be Susan Kay. Gotta have like 50 copies of her book, because I'm psycho. Whenever I come across her book, I have to buy it. So I have like first editions that are worth like $120. I have like, yeah, I've got like, but it's the same book. It's the same story, but I have like 50 fucking copies of it, because
Yeah, I hear you. I think I have 4 different copies of Wicked Little Rabbit.
Yes, you do. If you won't stay off my website, Brian Scala.
Well, because there's a regular paperback, there's a hardback, there's a special edition hardback, there's
an ebook.
The ebook, yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're a punk. I'm literally going to put a banner on my website that says Brian Scala is not allowed to shop here. And then he went and used one of his characters' names once. And then his little sister even took a hit.
My little sister needed a copy of The Ruin.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, what I was gonna say is I can't tell at all that character building is one of your favorite things in writing whatsoever. It has no bearing on the fact that this book is the size of a literal weapon. Like, there's so much character building in here, but it makes your characters so beautiful. They're
Yeah.
beautiful, flawed. Like, they don't have loopholes in who they are. They are realized actual people. And you were talking earlier about how Jenny Allen's books have so much research into them, and that's what makes them amazing. But then the character construction in yours
Yeah.
makes yours amazing. So it's funny how we each have this own, like, this strength that's influenced by the people that we love, that we read, that we, look up to. Have you ever met any of the people that you like want to give a shout out to in real life?
Well, I hadn't read your books until I read the synthology piece in the first um what is that called? Anthology. Your writing is fantastic too. I have everybody's books in my Kindle. It's just getting around to reading them because I have like so little bit of time. Audiobooks are my best bet, and I can listen to those in like 5 to 10 minute increments between, dealing with bullshit. Um who else? Jenny Allen's just amazing. And like an amazing human being too, like
Yeah,
so supportive. And
absolutely.
I've learned a lot from her as
Mm.
far as, because I've sent her stuff to look at and, edit and show me like what I did wrong here and there. And yeah, I agree with some of the stuff. So yeah, I would have to go Jenny. As far as people I've actually met, it would be Jenny and you.
Oh, thank you. What's funny is I hate my own writing. I tell people that all the time because I've looked at it so many
I
times.
hate
I'm
mine
like, this
too.
is garbage.
Oh yeah, I can't read my own
I never
books.
put out anything I'm in love with. I'm just like, all right, I'm satisfied with this.
I have put out one book that I know people will have criticisms of, but I will take no criticisms of. And it's one of the books that's the least read in my entire collection. The longest one I've written, okay? And I take flack for my books being shorter. People are like, oh, you need to write big books. Nobody reads the big ones. Leave me alone.
I get flack
it
for
is
mine
so.
too. Like Savior should have been broken up into 3 stories. I'm like, no, it shouldn't have. It's what it needs to be.
Right. Read it or don't. Come on now.
Yeah,
Yeah. But there is no pleasing everyone. I get told to write shorter books. You get told to write longer books. Like nobody, just write what you want to write, how you want to write it.
Yeah.
Readers will find you.
Brian was when he and I first met, he was working on Eddie the Legend. We met on the place that shall not be named, run by he who should not have influence over the government right now. That is now a hot dumpster fire. But anyway, we met over there, and he was working on Eddie the Legend. And I remember we had a whole conversation about word counts in books, and I told him, "You write until the story is done." And that's it.
Yeah.
Because if you
yeah,
try to put more into it that doesn't belong there, you're just filling a book with filler. And if you try to cut it short because you're trying to meet a minimum word count, then you're taking out something that's important to the story. And I think that's one of the benefits of being indie is we get to make those choices.
yeah. Being Made was around 100,000 words, and I was kind of, you know, lamenting the fact that Eddie the Legend is going to be around 75, but I can't really. But there's nothing more to the story. What do I do here? And she's like, when it's done, it's done.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, like, your readers can tell when you're not happy. Your readers can tell when you're putting filler in there or when you're trying to meet somebody else's expectations. And it kind of goes back to you mentioned something about how you agree with some of the things that Jenny comes up with the editing, or you get some reviews that have good criticisms or things that are just kind of off in left field or whatever in reviews too. And it's like you really can't please everyone. You have to be true to what you know is right for your book.
Yeah.
Sans like being a positive role model in the community and not writing something that's going to be detrimental to someone or harmful to a group of people. That's a whole different thing. But like, if
Yeah.
it's your story and this is the way it's supposed to be, then that's the way it was supposed to be, and you can feel when that's right.
Yeah. I try to handle the heavy topics carefully
Mm-hmm.
and mindfully, but I still think, they should be spoken about. And there are
Oh, yeah.
certain things in books topics that are horrifying, and they fucking should horrify you.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
I
when I
don't
wrote
believe in
Wicked Little
holding
Rabbit,
back anymore.
no, you
No.
can't. You have to go with what's real. When I wrote Wicked Little Rabbit, I was afraid, and I intentionally released it at the end of Essay Awareness Month for the content in the book, because I know that there are two different kinds of people who are going to read at surface level and then who are going to dig in, you know.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't talk about SA in my books. It's an issue that affects a lot of people. You know, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about dubious and coerced consent. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about domestic violence or, you know, substance
Yeah.
abuse issues and all that. Those are real things, and people can feel seen. And you connect with people that way. They need those things, and so you have to approach those hard subjects.
Yeah, I agree.
So it is time once again for everybody. And by the way, everybody, thank you so much for joining us so far. And you know, if you want to get an audiobook code for Joyride, just drop that motorcycle emoji down in the chat. And
we've got
like
a signed copy going out as well, right? Of Joyride.
Yep.
So there'll be 2 prizes tonight. So go ahead, even if you've already entered, keep putting those motorcycles in there. We reward you for sticking around. I have dropped quite a few of Jennifer's links in the chat as well. Her website, Amazon, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, so you can follow her on those platforms and stay in touch after this interview tonight concludes. So make sure you're doing that too. And I will go ahead and add those to the spinning wheel of awesomeness while Brian moves us into some fun questions for the evening.
Yes, yes. Not that these other questions haven't been fun, but
these are whimsical.
Yes. So, would you like me to do the honors and ask Evie's favorite question? Since
we have to.
Yes.
We have to.
So, you know, forget about writer's block and forget about, you know, all that other gobbledygook. This is the most important thing that we need to know. What's your favorite dinosaur?
Velociraptor.
Of course.
I have one right next to me locked up, aka Belgian Malinois. But yeah, Velociraptor.
Evie would be so proud of you. That is the correct answer in her. There are other acceptable answers, but only one is correct.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
My wife is T-Rex because she has little short arms. So.
I like pterodactyls too.
Yeah, my children are pterodactyls.
But Velociraptor.
Yeah, the smart ones. Smart and vicious. All right. So my question for you is, what's the craziest thing you've ever done in the name of love? So I feel like you've got a good story in there for one of those ones.
I shouldn't tell that one.
You can tell it. It's Discord.
Well, if the statute of limitations isn't up,
I don't judge. I don't judge.
That's what I'm wondering. No, I'm sure it's up by now. It wasn't like it was real bullets either, so. I don't know. That was probably. I don't know if I could legally talk about that one. Shit.
You could speak in hypotheticals. Hypothetically, a character in a book might have.
So this
somebody hurt somebody that I cared about. So I took a pew pew, an air one, and removed the windows in the front of their house.
Yeah. Quickly and efficiently.
I was young and very damaged.
Aren't we all though?
That sounds like a great.
So yeah, I took some revenge.
That sounds like a great premise for a book.
Yes, it does. Wonderful plotting, Jen.
Yes.
Now you and Clarence Carter hang out. He's got some fun stories about things from his youth. Yeah, that's quite a question. You're right. Or Bobby, you're right.
Yeah. So if you could go back in time, what year would you travel to?
Oh God. Shoot, I don't know. Past's kind of scary. It has to be back in time.
Yeah, backwards.
Fuck.
No Marty McFly changing the future, you know.
Damn it! I want to go into the future and see who's going to win the World Series next year.
Oh, you would.
Yeah, I think I would probably want to see the future more than go to the past.
Well, where would you go in the future?
Am I just like observing, or am I gonna like get unalived? Like, what's the premises of this?
I suppose that depends on what you do in the future.
Yeah,
I don't know. I want to go back to April 3rd of 1943. I don't know why. That's just, I don't know.
Interesting and yet relatable
any
time period.
Significance with that date?
Yeah. I don't know. No, I just pulled it out of thin air. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I already forgot what I said.
World War II
1943.
Yeah, that sounds like a World War II time. I'm gonna have to figure out. Is that like a special battle?
Yeah.
You know,
Probably not a good time.
Probably not.
Definitely wasn't a good time.
You would need to be somewhere safe. Here, I'm looking up April 3rd, 1943. There was a shipwreck on that day, and the Battle of Manners Street in Wellington, New Zealand. Lots of interesting things.
You know,
definitely historic context.
A shipwreck, you know, kind of like the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which happened years later.
When did the Hindenburg go down? The big
that was in the 20s, I think.
When did the Hindenburg crash? May 6th, my daughter's birthday.
Oh.
1937.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh, yeah. All right,
I don't want to go back to that one.
My next one for you is, what would you use to survive the zombie apocalypse?
What would I use? Oh man, I would die for starters. Like, I'm not surviving that. I'm taking myself out because I don't like zombies. That shit stresses me the fuck out.
Much more.
I don't know, a tank? I'm not coming out of my tank. I'm staying in the tank.
I love it.
I would...
Claire's answer? He said he would use the other people who were with him because he'd toss one of them to the zombies and run away.
Yeah. I would.
No, I would just.
No, go ahead.
That's scary.
Yeah. I think I would use my powers of persuasion and hope it was a female zombie.
I think you're gonna roll in that one.
No way.
Just saying.
There's a flaw in that logic, huh?
Yeah, I don't think they would be able to understand anything beyond brains.
Yeah, no, I don't want nothing to do with zombies.
Trying to be out there in the middle.
Did you see the preview for? Did you see the preview for 28 Years Later?
No, but I saw 28 Days Later, and that was a heck of a movie.
Oh my gosh, it's so stressful. I don't know, zombies. I love The Walking Dead, like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Love him. Met him a few times. But zombies stress me the fuck out.
I hear you. So, what is the best gift you've ever been given?
Probably my first car from my dad. It was a 1968 Pontiac Firebird convertible.
Ooh.
Pretty cool.
Nice.
It was a rusty bucket though, but we had to rebuild it, but we rebuilt it together. So that was fun.
And then say, how did you luck out? That's amazing.
Yeah. He's a car guy. And he wanted to, like, for my first car for me to learn driving would be like a tank, because that thing was solid metal.
Oh yeah.
You know, 68. Yeah. So I got in a car accident with it. I didn't feel a thing. I just heard a whole lot of crunching. But
you can hammer that car right back out.
Yeah.
All better.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I had a 1980 Datsun.
Yeah, probably the car.
I had a 1980 Datsun, and that front bumper was like, it looked like it was made of pure steel. Yeah, not like today.
No, everything's plastic now.
I had a 2008 Ford Focus. It would have just like fallen apart. Although it did survive getting rear-ended twice. That was a whole thing. Within the span of a week, mind you. Lovely. Not my fault. Anyway, next question for you. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes. Do you want me to elaborate?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, You have personal encounters with
I've
ghosts?
seen shit ever since I was a little kid, and it's never stopped. So yeah, I believe there are ghosts for sure. I believe there are elementals. I believe there are creatures we have yet to discover. Yeah, like there are. I definitely believe in realms all around us all the time,
Mhm.
and some of us are able to glance into those and parallel timelines and all that. Yeah, I believe in all that shit.
Well, they came out and said there are aliens in the bottom of the ocean. So I mean, like, what's not
Yeah,
to
they
believe?
are. I believe that.
Oh yeah,
Have you
100%.
heard our story from the Books and Bourbon this past year, where we did the
Oh,
ghost
that
tour?
was fun.
We went to a cemetery, and coincidentally, Caitlin Brooke, who's going to be on our show next week, she took a picture of a tombstone, and there was an image next to it, and we all figured out that there was no trick photography. There was nothing. It was it was something supernatural. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, that's
There
cool.
was there was no person standing there
Yep.
at all. And that woman is very clearly in an old dress. Caitlin was very lucky
Yeah,
to
that's
capture it
awesome.
immediately.
Yeah,
And
for real, for sure. Like,
we're walking around with EMF detectors. They're going off left and right, and like it's a whole thing. There's a bookstore out here in Paw Paw, Michigan. I made friends
Mm.
with the owner. Her name's Penny. She's going to be at Sinful Signings this year, actually, with
Oh,
Blush
nice.
Podcast. So you'll get to meet her. But it's called Words on Pages, and it has an actual resident ghost in the bookstore. And I went in and stirred some shit up, and now the ghost is doing stuff all the time. She's like, "You did this."
Wait, I'm going to need some elaboration on that. What shit did you exactly stir?
So there's an old Michigan basement underneath the bookstore, and it's from like the 1920s Prohibition area, and all the things down there are all connected, all the buildings. And I went down there and I picked up a bunch of artifacts. I was talking to the ghost. I was like, "I'd like to meet you, but you can't come home with me. So if you want to say anything, you got to do it while I'm here, because I'm not bringing you home." And I brought all the artifacts up and we looked them over and stuff. Well, while we were down there, there's like a wicker chair that's been abandoned down there in the basement. And I said, "Well, okay, you got a wicker chair, so we're just going to call the ghost Harold, and that's the Charold. And if Harold needs a timeout, you go tell him to sit in his timeout chair. I was like, "Bye, Harold. I'll see you later." And so she was like, "Well, you did a lot of talking to the ghost. I'm going to set up a camera while you're gone."
Oh.
And she went to leave the store, and she had forgotten to set up the camera. So she went back in and she tried to like do a few things really quickly. And then all this thumping and grinding was happening coming from the basement where we had gone down. He knocks books off of shelves and makes shadows around people and freaks them out. She was like, I said, he's just recommending new reads. Like, don't be afraid of Gerald. He's fine. But
Wow.
yeah, ghosts are great. I'd love to have my own EMF detector.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
my question has to do with something a little bit more tangible, food related. What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Probably just vanilla bean.
Evie
You
would
and
love
Evie.
that.
Vanilla bean.
Yes. That is Evie's favorite answer because she says you can add
Yeah.
anything to it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just good by itself too.
See, I like anything with chocolate.
And if you want to like spice it up, add a little like amaretto, like Italian
yeah.
liqueur,
Yeah,
a little bit of that on there. It's fucking good shit.
That does sound good. Or tequila rose makes a great milkshake. Like a strawberry vanilla milkshake. Really good.
Yeah.
You should. All right. I think we got time for one more question each.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you, do you collect anything besides books?
It used to be crystals, but I stopped that.
It's an expensive collection, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. When I was younger, I used to collect just creepy shit. Like bones, and I guess I still do that. If I find bones, I always like take bones home because I like to like string them up around the property because we have a lot of trespassers, so I always put weird shit in our woods and stuff to like freak people out. And we used to have a cornfield next to us, so I put masks in the cornfield.
Nice.
That's fucking weird. Anyway, yeah. I don't think I collect anything anymore besides like my obsessive compulsive need to buy that Phantom book by Susan Kay whenever I happen to come across it.
You need to go out and do some Blair Witch stick figures in the cornfield. Really scare people. That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
but those are all in the woods. We have like all witchy woo
Nice.
stuff in the woods. Yeah.
I live in a suburb of Portage, and there's no fun things to do. But they do have like a nature reserve a couple streets over. The problem is the tornado ripped through it over the summer, so nobody goes back there because there's a bunch of trees down. So no fun.
Yeah. So, speaking of no fun, as a child, what did you think would be awesome about being an adult, but is not really awesome?
Getting to eat whatever the fuck I want whenever I want. That's dangerous. Let me tell you.
Mm.
It sure is.
And then
Yeah.
also like, yeah, that, yeah.
Yeah,
And having your own house. Oh my god, bills and fucking repairs and shit. Like,
yeah,
dang kid, you don't want this shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me. I'll go back to being a child. Play my video games. Which I've been doing a lot of that lately. Either way, but
Yeah, I keep telling my kids they're doing that growing up thing awfully fast, and they're like, "Well, you keep feeding us," and I was like, "Yeah, it's illegal not to. I mean, come on." But yeah, no, having your own house definitely is expensive. All the adult responsibilities that come with it. Having to cook your own food, like even if you enjoy cooking, having to do it is totally different than doing it because you want to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not so fun.
My mom didn't feel like making dinner today, so like at her house, so I went over to her house and I made them like stuffed peppers. I didn't even get to eat any. I just made it for them and went back home.
Oh.
But I had to make dinner for us. I didn't eat yet. I made my husband food, but yeah, definitely home stuff.
I looked in the fridge. I saw kielbasa. I saw chicken tenderloins, and I'm like, I don't feel like cooking tonight. What are we ordering tonight?
Yeah, well, me not feeling so well, and then I've got 2 days of signings tomorrow, so I'm trying to kick this crud really fast tomorrow, and Sunday I'll be there for 10 hours a day.
Oofa.
But I was like, I am not eating anything that's going to take a chance at coming back out of my face. So we're going with McDonald's chicken nuggets and French fries because those stayed down. There was no cooking this evening, but I'm sitting up, so that's progress.
Yes.
All right, you guys, we are going to give you one more chance to enter the giveaway tonight. There are 2 prizes. One is a signed copy of Joyride, and one is an audiobook code for Joyride that needs to be used within the next 2 days. So make sure that Amazon doesn't steal your audiobook code. Drop those motorcycles in the comments. We want to put you on that wheel. Even if you've been here and been in the entry before, you get rewarded for sticking around. More motorcycles. The world needs more anyway.
Sure.
And we will have Brian take us into some of our sign-off information tonight.
Yes, Miss Jennifer Saviano, can you please remind everybody where we can find you online?
Probably the best place to reach me, since it's not going anywhere, is my website, jennifersaviano.net. It's .net, not .org, because jennifersaviano.com was taken by the famous one who was on The Bachelorette or something.
I thought you were the famous one. I don't know any other Jennifer
I did too.
Savianos.
No. I'm like buried. Every time you type my name in, I'm like buried underneath everything having to do with her. You can't even Google me.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for the famous
and then,
one.
TikTok. TikTok, I forgot my name. I think it's Jennifer Saviano _author. And then Instagram, The Saviors MC. Because Meta won't let me have an author page. Because it's part of my banishment and my banning of fucking on Facebook for having an ad that had the word schmex in it.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not very
But
forgiving.
yeah, my website. No, they're jerks.
Do you have a newsletter on your website?
Yeah, if you scroll, you go to the homepage, scroll all the way down, you can sign up for the newsletter there. I only send one out, like, maybe 4 times a year. I call it quarterly and chaotic. Because I really don't know what to talk about, so I wait till I have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, and then I blast it out. I don't know if people really want to hear, I don't know what they want to hear, so.
You just reminded
yes,
me.
sir.
I have to put out a newsletter this weekend. Oof, that's right.
Oh, shoot, I gotta make sure mine was scheduled. Whoops. Thank you.
I guess I'll be working on that tomorrow.
Yeah. Now, do you have any planned in-person events, Jennifer?
Oh gosh. AuthorCon is in March. I'm doing that with Jenny. I don't know
Little
how
Jen.
to, I don't know what order these are in. Lust in the City, Sass, Booked in Chaos, Sinful, and I think that's all of them. I
We need
think
to
that's
get you
all
up
of
here
them.
to Michigan for one of these ones because there's a bunch of them out this way.
I got to be able to drive there because I don't fly.
Yeah.
Ah,
I don't do flying.
I drove all the way down to Booked in Chaos. It was about 13 hours, so we split it over 2 days. It was well worth the drive. We'll be back in 2025, but it was a haul for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah. I've done flying.
I have to, my husband has to be able to take off, because I'm like, I don't trust myself to drive.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
peripheral vision isn't what it used to be anymore, so
Wow.
that's not good. That's not
Yeah.
good for driving.
yeah.
How are you going to drive to Houston next year?
Ooh, me?
First, is that for Sinful?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause it's going to be in Texas in 26.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe me and Jenny will road trip that one. Jenny will have
There
to
you
drive though.
go.
Sorry, Jenny.
So say there's probably like
You're
6 or
driving,
7
Jenny.
Michigan authors that go to Sinful, so maybe we'll just get a party bus for the Michigan people.
Yeah. That's right.
That would be cool.
Rotate.
I'll have to drive down and pick up all the Pennsylvania. Just pick people up along the way. Like. So,
Brian's new
Oh
collection.
shoot! And I have Asheville, North Carolina.
oh,
Chaos in the Carolinas. I think that one.
okay.
I think that's in September. I'm looking forward to going to Asheville.
Yeah, I'm curious. I know that they were hit hard by the hurricane last year. I hope everything's all fine and good there now.
Yeah, supposedly that area is like up and running again, but I don't know. I would like to go out there and really see what's actually happening.
Right.
Fine and good is a relative terminology for sure.
Yeah.
If it's functional,
Well,
that's
yeah.
an improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That was absolutely horrifying and awful for the people who were there. I know you did some
Yes.
fundraising for that as well, so thank you for helping
Yes.
support that area too.
Anything else you'd like us to know before we go to the big wheel?
No, I think we covered everything. Wheel away.
All right.
All right, let me get my camera all fixed up. So I have my laptop open so I can monitor the chat and make sure all of our delinquents in here are behaving. See if I can figure out how to do it. Turn the camera. All right, can we
There it
see
is.
it? Wait, there it is.
I see it.
Okay. All right, here we go. Drum roll. We're going to go for first one. This is the audiobook code that has to be redeemed by February 2nd. Before then, make sure you use it when you get it. Contact Jennifer for your code. Let's see who's getting the audiobook.
Ah,
Awesome.
Rebecca Jose. Congratulations.
That's pretty cool. All right, and then let's see who gets the signed copy. And if it's Rebecca, we're going to try again because Rebecca already got one. We'll share. Oh, nice. Catalina, signed copy of Joyride. Awesome. Thank you so much for helping us get some books out to some of our awesome viewers. We love being able to do that because then we're supporting the whole community from both sides. It's awesome having everybody here with you. And then this will go up on YouTube as well on the Friday Night Rights channel. So anybody who couldn't be here this time will still get to hear you.
Yes, and this will be up by tomorrow morning. Actually,
Nice.
I can probably do this tonight. Well, either way,
Whenever
tonight,
you...
whenever I damn well please, but it'll be up by tomorrow morning at the
That's
very
right,
latest.
Brian.
But
Well, we just want to thank you for joining us on Friday Night Rights. We're very excited to have you. I know I started feeling gross and I was like, not tonight. It's Jennifer Saviano.
yeah,
I'm
I
going
know.
to be on here. But thank you for joining us. And then as Brian said, next week we're going to have Caitlin Brooke here as well. We're trying to get all of our lovely authors on here. It will be on YouTube, and we do have an interest form if anyone else would like to be interviewed on Friday Night Writes. We are booked through December of 2025, yes. Which is pretty cool because we only do one at a time. So we want to give you the spotlight.
Yeah, we have one opening for December, and then I believe we have a special Christmas episode we haven't booked yet. We haven't really discussed anything, but then it's onwards to 2026.
Yeah. And then we do also have another interest form in our link in our bio as well for the anthology that is closing tonight. Again, the anthology is See Me As I Am. It focuses on invisible mental and physical disabilities and struggles that people know nothing about. And this will be coming out about mid-year 2025. And Friday Night Writes authors are contributing to this to try to raise funds for an amazing program. I know Jennifer knows a little bit about NAMI as well. We've spoken about that. Yes. And so we are taking interest forms until the end of the night tonight, and then that form will shut down. And then we have submissions coming in until March 31st. I keep saying March 1st on accident, but March 31st. We've already got several authors who have put in some amazing pieces. I'm very excited about this. I know Brian is. And we are working on planning our cover reveal soon as well. We're trying to do that before TikTok goes away. So if you are in this live with us right now and you would like to help participate in our official cover reveal for See Me As I Am, the Friday Night Writes anthology, just reach out to us in the anthology channel here in the server, and we will get back to you. We have physical and digital cover reveal options available. And we're just really excited about this because NAMI does some amazing work. And I know a lot of people right now are in a really fragile mental headspace, or, a lot of people with disabilities are worried about their futures. And so we want to help try to support these people who are scared, yes. Some of our authors among them. And that's a really important thing. And I know a lot of our readers among them as well. So make sure you check that out. We are currently, I believe, if I have my Discord chat up, I think we have 5 authors in the anthology officially submitted now, and we have a couple more that are coming in every day. So it's really exciting.
Does that include you and I?
As much as we can raise for NAMI, we would like to. So far, yes. I believe we have Clarence Carter, myself, Evie, Brian, Shazra Brooks. I know Rebecca Jose is planning on submitting one. I know Lee Van Beek just submitted some for us. And I know we have several authors that said their pieces just with the editor right now will be coming in shortly, which is amazing because there are some really, really compelling stories in here, you guys. I'm very excited about this. I know Brian is too.
Yes.
And we will not be keeping any money from these books, only to cover the cost of the production of the books. Everything else will go to NAMI. So it's a nonprofit kind of thing that's going on. And Bobby/Leia says they will be submitting as well, which is exciting. Jennifer, are you planning on doing the anthology too? I can't remember.
I don't think I have time.
And so I thought.
I'm a very slow writer.
Yeah, I am too these days. I think Kennedy Sutton is working on a piece as well. So we'll have a lot of really compelling people in there, but I know a lot of our authors are also just going to help us kind of get the word out, which is super cool.
Yeah, so. I'm happy to help you get the word out.
Yes,
that would be amazing.
Yes, thank you.
And I know our readers are amazing too. Our viewers are amazing too. So they'll be awesome to help us out too. So Friday Night Writes is all about the community, and you are an important part of our community, Jennifer. And so thank you so much for being here. And we'll give some love to Evie. She told me to tell you sorry she couldn't be here, but she loves you and have a wonderful time. So
Vanilla Raptors.
Vanilla Raptors. Oh no.
Oh, look at it. You got the hearts because you said love.
I know. I'm so cool. I can make the hearts, and Brian can't make the hearts on his side. I don't know what it's about. But anyway, that's it for tonight. We're going to wrap things up just a couple of minutes early. If you want a prize, make sure you reach out to Jennifer because you got to connect with. She doesn't have to connect with you because that's a whole lot going on. Okay?
Yeah.
So, thank you very much.
See you later, guys. I gotta go get ready for a signing.
Okay. Have a good night. Feel better.
Go read these. Like all of them. And then report back. You have your homework.
Thanks. Bye.
Have a good night, everybody.